So if you have never played Dungeons & Dragons before, or you've never played a previous Baldur's Gate game, this guide is specifically designed for you. We're talking statistics scores today, or ability scores, the stats of your character, like your strength, constitution, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. They're called different things in different games. Do you need to worry about those? What do they need to be at? How do I determine what I need for my character? There's a ton of information to know when you're looking at your stats and your attribute scores, but at the same time, they don't necessarily apply as much if you're playing on Explorer mode, which is the easy mode for Baldur's Gate 3, versus the Tactician mode, which is the hardcore mode. So if you're someone who has never played Baldur's Gate, never played any of the previous things, never played any D&D or any other tabletop, this guide is for you. If you already know 5th edition and you know tabletop and you've played Baldur's Gate 3 and you know what stats mean, this guide probably isn't going to do you any good. But if you want to be here all the same, I welcome your views and your participation. Drop your comments down below. And for those of you who are new, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update, with daily streams happening at 11 a.m. Central here on the channel. Play lots of other games beyond just Baldur's Gate 3, so check out the playlists, join the Discord. All the links are down below. In the meantime, let's get in to talk about statistics in Baldur's Gate 3, which is a simple transition of going bloop, and now we're into the game. So, right off the bat, we've got a character who's spun up here, and on the right-hand side, we see the statistics for the character, or the abilities as they are also known. And here on the left, we have our ability points screen where we can adjust these abilities. Now, the way this works, for those of you who have never played before, if you take everything back to a simple 10, this is where every normal person or normal character essentially starts off. A 10 in each one of these means that you are neither exceptional nor crappy at that thing. You are an average, middle-of-the-road person. Anything below 10 means that you are worse than the average person. Anything above 10 means that you are better than the average person. And how far you go in either extreme will dictate whether or not you have additional bonuses to your character or additional penalties to your character anytime you have a dice roll in the game that is governed by one of these statistics. Generally speaking, strength governs all of your melee attacks, your ability to shove people off cliffs, the ability to avoid being shoved, how much you can carry. Dexterity is how quickly you can move around the battlefield, how many movement points you have, as well as some bonuses related to finesse weapons and range. Constitution is your hit points and how healthy and beefy your character is in terms of your ability to withstand poisons and diseases and things of that nature. Intelligence is how smart your character is. Wisdom is how wise your character is. And charisma is how pretty are you? Are you a good leader? And these impact different things in different ways. And you can go down through here and you can hover over each one of these to get more information. I'm giving you the basic version. For those of you who want to read through this at your leisure, you can come into the game, hover over any given stat, and it'll give you additional information as well as the current bonuses that you have, which are nothing because we don't have any bonuses from here. Generally speaking, every 2 points will move you in one direction or the other. So right now, we have no bonuses to strength, but if we do 12, now we have a +1 to strength checks. If we do a 14, we have a +2 to strength checks. 16 is a +3, and so on and so forth. And conversely, if we go the opposite way, as soon as we start dropping down, I have to pick something that's not a primary stat. Boom, now I'm negative in that stat as well. Now, every class in the game is going to have a particular stat that is considered the most important stat for that character. So if I were to go in here to the Barbarian as an example, look on the right-hand side over here, you're going to notice that star above the primary stat will change based upon what I choose. So a Barbarian is a strength-based character, a Bard is a charisma-based character, a Cleric is a wisdom-based character, Druids are wisdom, Fighters are strength, Monks are dex, Paladins are strength, Rangers are dex, Rogues are dex, Sorcerers are charisma, Warlocks are charisma, and Wizards are intelligence. These are all the different ways. By the way, I love that graphic. These are all of the different primary attributes for the various classes. So If you've never played D&D before, or you've never played any of the Baldur's Gate games, this is the number one tip that anyone can ever give you, which is pay attention to your primary stat. That is the thing that governs everything important about the character you are going to be playing through the game. So if you want the best version of your primary role in any group, you're going to want that stat as high as possible. Now, everything else beyond that point can be modified based on what you want your character to do. Now remember, you cannot be good at everything. That's why you have additional characters who join your party, whether it's in a multiplayer session where you've got your friends joining the party, or whether it's your single player playthrough where you have the main characters, the origin characters, like Gale and Lae'zel and Will and Karlach and so on and so forth, and Jaheira and Minsk joining your party. They all have their own classes and their own primary stats and their own skills and makeups and everything else. So don't stress too much about what you can do in terms of being the best at everything, because you can't be best at everything. You can make a character that's very specialized in one area, perhaps a couple of areas if you multi-class, but when you're talking about the full game, it's about the strengths and weaknesses of the entire group. So bear that in mind when creating your character. Now, some of this could be roleplay. You might want to create a wizard who is super intelligent, like 17, but maybe you are really weak, so you have an 8 in Constitution. Really unhealthy. Think Raceland from Dragonlance, really unhealthy. But you want to bump your dex up a little bit, so go ahead and put some points into dex, so maybe you're really quick. And then whatever you've got left, maybe you put into charisma or something like this. There's lots of different options to go from when you're playing Dungeons & Dragons and any tabletop game, as well as Baldur's Gate 3. So think about what it is your class wants to do. If you're a melee-based character, you're going to want your strength as high as possible, or possibly your hit points. I traditionally will tell people, if you're rolling some sort of a fighter, take your strength all the way up first, and then everything else dump into hit points, because that's what that character's all about, being in the front lines, doing lots of damage with melee weapons, and absorbing lots of hits, and they need lots of hit points for that. A spellcaster, on the other hand, doesn't need hit points, because you're never going to be on the front lines, and concentration can help you with your concentration. If you hover over this, you'll see some different things: physical endurance, constitution checks. So, bear that in mind when you're going through here, that you can build your character however you want. And here's the second most important tip that I can give you. Quick commercial break, everyone, to give a shout out to our first official guild officer, Bubbalonia, as well as all of the guild champions, and of course, all of the members who help keep me on the air full time. To join as a member, simply click that join button below and pick your tier, but you can also support with SuperChats on any live stream or premiere, or SuperThanks on any upload or YouTube short. Don't forget the Discord. Let's get back to the video. Stats do not really matter on the easy mode when you're playing explorer mode. They do impact your character with the bonuses and the positives and the negative rolls, and they do affect your rolls for skill checks. However, the easy mode of the game gives you a ton of extra hit points, and it basically gives you some modifiers to make you better at everything, to make the game more focused on the story of Baldur's Gate 3 as opposed to the rules of Dungeons & Dragons. Balanced mode is for those players who want sort of a normal level of challenge, and Tactician mode is really only recommended for those of you who understand 5th edition rules and or are looking for some sort of a Dark Souls type challenge experience, which is not the majority of players. And anybody out there who tells you that Tactician mode in this game is easy is not actually playing the game the way it's meant to be played. They're using what we call cheese tactics, where they'll take like a bunch of barrels and circle an enemy and blow the enemy up with barrels. That's not the way the encounters are supposed to work. You're traditionally supposed to go into the encounter, roll initiative to see who gets to attack first, and then you have a back and forth combat scenario using height to your advantage, resistances, spells, melee abilities, shoves, and all these other things, in the environment too. But bear in mind that Tactician mode is very challenging if you play it the way it's meant to be played, whereas Explorer mode is very easy and you don't really need to worry about anything other than the story. So in that conversation, stats don't mean that much if you just want to play this game for the story, which is why I recommend every new player, if this is your first time playing, All you need to understand is that you have a primary stat, put as many points in that as possible, put the other points wherever you want. It literally does not matter because your playthrough is based on what you want to experience out of the game. And remember, there are lots of other characters in the game who can join your party who will be able to have strengths that counter your weaknesses and vice versa. So don't stress too much about the little things. Just make a character, get in the game, and go from there. And of course, like I said at the beginning, don't forget that all of the classes as you go through here have a primary stat. So make sure you pay attention to where that gold star is, because everybody gets a gold star in this game. And that was a horrible dad joke, but I think we will leave you on that note with a horrible dad joke, because it's the perfect parting shot for those of you who are new to the game. And again, if you're someone who has lots of experience with D&D and 5th edition, feel free to drop your tips down in the comments below. Always welcome to have other experts on Dungeons & Dragons here in the channel. Don't forget to check out all the other videos and the playlists. We are streaming live every single day at 11 a.m. Central with lots of different games happening on the channel. Hopefully we'll see you in Discord as well. And don't forget the member videos for all of you who are new members to the channel. In the meantime, stay safe everybody and have fun in Forgotten Realms and Baldur's Gate 3.